Most people think their reactions are spontaneous, that something just happens, and suddenly they're angry, anxious, defensive, shut down. But reactivity is not random, it is repeatable. And anything repeatable is not chaos. It's a system. If you look closely, you'll notice something unsettling. You don't react in new ways. You react in the same ways to different situations. Different faces, different words, different moments. Same internal sequence. The trigger changes, the reaction doesn't. That alone tells you something important. The cause is not the situation. It's the pathway underneath it. Reactivity follows a route, always the fastest one available, a shortcut built through repetition. The nervous system doesn't explore, it defaults. When a stimulus appears, the system does not ask, "What is this really?" It asks, "What does this resemble?" Resemblance is enough. The body reacts before the mind understands. This is why triggers feel immediate. There's no deliberation, no pause, no choice, because the pathway is already built. The sequence is almost always the same. A sensation in the body, a surge of emotion, a narrowing of attention, a familiar thought, a predictable behavior. This happens so fast it feels like a single event, but it's not. It's a chain reaction. Each link learned, each link reinforced. Over time, the system stops improvising. It runs the script. This is why you regret reactions after they happen. Not because you didn't know better, but because the knowing came too late. Awareness arrives after execution. By then, the system has already acted. Predictability is not a flaw, it's a clue. It proves there is structure beneath the reaction, and structure can be observed. If you reacted differently every time, there would be nothing to study, no pattern, no entry point. But you don't. You react the same way, which means the system is exposed. Reactivity feels personal, but repetition makes it mechanical. And the moment you see it as mechanical, you stop blaming yourself and start reading the design. That's where understanding begins. Next, we look at why the system chooses the same pathway every time, and what it's trying to protect. If this helped you notice something about your own mind, consider liking the video and subscribing. More of this is coming. Once a pathway exists, the system prefers it, not because it's correct, but because it's efficient. The nervous system is designed to conserve energy. Every decision costs effort. Every evaluation takes time. So the system defaults to what has already worked. Worked doesn't mean healthy, it means the threat passed. The body survived. That is enough. Survival is the only metric. When a reaction once reduced danger, even briefly, it gets stored. Not as a memory, as a route. Routes are reused. The more they're used, the faster they fire. Speed becomes preference. This is why, over time, reactions feel automatic. The system is no longer deciding, it's executing. Triggers don't cause reactions, they activate them, like flipping a switch that's already wired. And the older the pathway, the less conscious involvement it requires. Some reactions are older than language. They formed before explanation, before reasoning, before choice, which is why logic fails. You can understand a trigger and still react. Understanding does not reroute a system. New pathways require repetition, not insight, and repetition requires something unfamiliar, not reacting. When the system predicts danger and you respond differently, it receives conflicting data. Conflicting data forces recalibration. This feels uncomfortable, The system loses certainty. It escalates. Stronger emotion, urgency, convincing thoughts. Anything to return you to the known route. This is not resistance, it's inertia. The system has momentum. If you give in, the pathway strengthens. If you pause, the system is forced to wait. Waiting is disruptive. It introduces choice. Choice is expensive. It requires awareness, energy, time. But it's the only thing that interrupts automation. Reactivity continues not because you're weak, but because the system has never been challenged. That challenge doesn't come from force. It comes from delay. In the next part, we look at what delay reveals and how it exposes the system's true purpose. If this perspective resonates, like the video. Subscribe if you want more. No pressure, just awareness. Every repeated reaction is protecting something. Even the ones that ruin relationships, even the ones that sabotage progress. The system does not react to cause harm. It reacts to prevent loss. Loss of safety, loss of control, loss of belonging, loss of identity. Reactivity is defensive. If a reaction is intense, the protection is old. If it's rigid, the learning is incomplete. Predictability reveals priority. What fires fastest matters most to the system. Not consciously, but biologically. You don't react strongly to what's unfamiliar. You react strongly to what threatens something known. This is why certain triggers feel disproportionate. The situation is small, the reaction is not, because the present moment is activating the past. Reactivity is memory without images, stored as sensation, as urgency, as impulse. When you delay reaction, you interrupt defense. The system becomes visible. You feel what it's guarding. Control, safety, approval, stability. This is the real value of predictability. It turns reaction into information. Instead of asking, "Why did I do that?" you ask, "What was that trying to prevent?" That question changes everything. It removes shame, it removes self-attack, and replaces it with curiosity. Curiosity does something reactivity cannot. It slows the system. When protection is seen, it no longer needs to shout. When it's acknowledged, it relaxes. This is how pathways dissolve, not by destruction, but by understanding. Reactivity feels personal. Predictability makes it readable. Readable systems can be changed. Not all at once, but permanently. That's the reveal.